let's talk briefly about adding a currency factor to our regression model. And we'll always do this from the perspective of a US company. And we want to think about what happens to the profits of an exporter versus the profits from an importer when the currency exchange rate changes, when the US dollar strengthens or weakens relative to another currency. So first, in this class, we will always quote exchange rates as US dollars per foreign currency. So it'll be $1.1830 per 1 euro, $1.2915 per 1 British pound, and $0.009577 per euro. This is the same way we quote oil in US dollars per barrel, or wheat in US dollars per bushel, and everything else in US dollars per unit. And so when we put it into our regression, an increase in this exchange rate, we can interpret the beta the same way we can and increase the price of oil. So this is the cost to buy something. If the quoted number gets bigger, it's more expensive to buy a euro. And if the quoted number gets smaller, it's less expensive to buy a euro. Now note that in currency markets, sometimes currencies are quoted in the foreign currency per US dollar. So for example, for the yen, it's very common to quote this as 110 yen per dollar. Instead of the US dollar per currency. And just to make it even more confusing, depending on whether it's a derivatives market versus a spot market or cash market, the currency quote method can change. But we will always quote US dollar per foreign currency in this class for the reasons we just talked about. Okay, so let's consider two quoted exchange rates. Let's consider $1.10 per euro. So this is $1.10 per euro, or $1.40 per euro. So in the first case, it cost me $1.10 to buy a euro. And in the second case, I got to give up $1.40 to get that same 1 euro. So this is the number of US dollars needed to buy 1 euro. The larger the number, the weaker the dollar. So when this goes from $1.40, I used to be able to buy a euro. I only had to give up $1.10, but now I got to give up $1.40 to buy a euro, so the US dollar is weaker. And the smaller the number, the stronger the US dollars, since it costs US dollars to buy that 1 euro. So let's come up with a simple way to define exporters and importers and see if we can see whether or not a stronger or weaker dollar benefits the exporter. And given that, what would a beta on currencies, and remember we're going to define currencies as dollar per euro, what would the beta look like in our regression? So exporters pay US dollars to buy goods in the US and then sell the goods to get euros. They then trade the euros revenue that they receive to get US dollars. So we will assume a fixed purchase price in US dollars and a fixed sale price in euros. We don't have to, it just makes it more complicated, but let's assume that an exporter buys a bushel of wheat for $5 US and then sells it for 4.70 euros per bushel. And so this is the fixed purchase price, this is the fixed sale price. And the idea is they're going to buy wheat in dollars, they're going to sell it in euros, and then they're going to convert those euros back to dollars compared to the purchase price to figure out their profit. So the exporter will do this sometimes when the exchange rate is $1.40 per euro, and they'll do it sometimes when the exchange rate is smaller at $1.10 per euro. These are our two sort of choices. If the exchange rate number is larger, then the exporter, when they sell their euros to buy dollars, receives more US dollars, and so the revenue is higher. And if they do this when the exchange rate number is smaller, then they only receive $1.10 for every euro, and so their revenue in US dollars is lower. And so the exporter benefits from a weaker US dollar, which is the larger number, and they are hurt by a stronger US dollar, which is the smaller number. And therefore, if we include dollars per euro in our regression factor model, we would expect a positive beta euro. Because when the number gets bigger, we multiply it by something positive that increases the return for the corporation. So the exporter buys wheat in US dollars and sells wheat in euros. So the wheat cost, here's the revenue in euros, here's the exchange rate, and so here's the dollar revenue, which is the 4.70, I multiply to get that. And so the profit is 17 cents when it's 110, the profit is $1.58 when it is 140. And so an exporter benefits from a weaker dollar and is hurt by a stronger dollar, and therefore I would expect a positive beta euro. An importer will trade US dollars to buy goods in euros and then sell those goods in US dollars. And again, we'll assume a fixed purchase price in dollars and just corrected a quick error. We will assume that the importer pays a fixed purchase price in euros and has a fixed sale price in US dollars. So for example, the importer buys wine for 10 euros per bottle and sells it for $15 per bottle. The importer will do this sometimes when the exchange rate is larger and sometimes when the exchange rate is smaller. If the exchange rate is the small number, then the importer needs to pay fewer US dollars to get that euro that it needs to buy the bottle. And so the expense in US dollars is lower. And if the exchange rate number is larger, then the importer must pay more US dollars to get the euros to buy the wine. And so the expense in US dollars is higher. And so the importer benefits from a stronger US dollar, which is a smaller dollars per euro number. And the importer is hurt by a weaker US dollar, which is a larger dollars per euro number. And so therefore, if dollars per euro is included in a regression factor model, we would expect the beta for euros to be negative. And here's the importer, here's the fixed price. So the fixed price is going to be 10 euros. The cost in dollars in this particular case is going to be $11. And so the revenue is going to be 15, and so the profit is $4. But if the exchange rate is $1.40, then the cost, is $1.40 per euro, then the cost is $14, the revenue is 15. And so again, it is the case that for an importer, they benefit from a stronger dollar. And so that's the sign of our betas for the euros, the dollars per euro factor.